Today we are going to show you how to create a rubric for your course. A little information about rubrics is that in order to be able to use a rubric in your course, you have to have Gradebook Setup. Now you can set up Gradebook for just one section, like let's say discussions or assignments, and then once the gradebook is connected, it makes that connection between the rubric and the actual assignment. So rubrics can be used in all places where you would give a grade: discussions, assignments, as well as wiki projects. So I'm going to show you how to get started. The first thing we need to do is make sure we have a gradebook setup, which is super easy by clicking on the Assess tab. And then under Grades, if I hover over this, I can do Add a Gradebook. I'm going to use Traditional Grading. I can give my gradebook a name. So I'm going to be using this gradebook for my discussion posts. So that's what I'm going to call it. I'm not going to use gradebook categories because they either are going to get credit for doing their discussion or they are not. I can adjust the rounding. I only want it to be a whole number. Display subtotal as percentage and grade. And then gradebook sorting is going to be by due date and then by last name. The grade notation set, I'm going to create a new one. And then notation set, if I want to do excuse any students from an assignment or mark as absent, that's where I would set this up here. And I'm not going to do that because discussion posts have to be done by everybody. They don't get excused from that. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save. And the next is my grade set notation. So if I give them a 4, that's going to be 4. And when it's entered, I want it to be a 4. And the same, I'm going to go 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2. I can add more if I'd like by doing add notation, and the lowest they can get on their discussion is a 1. So let's move this over here. Once I'm finished, I'm going to click Save. If I had any special notation, so this is where I would enter that, excused from task, or if they were absent, I would mark this here. I don't have any I'm going to add, so I'm going to hit Save. It looks like it wants me to set one up, so I'm going to enter E, that would be excused. And then I want it to ignore that, and then I'm going to hit Save. So now I have my gradebook, it's ready to go. I can manage my gradebook over here, so if I wanted to adjust the settings, if I wanted to print it, if I wanted to go back and add categories like maybe by particular topic or a particular unit that I'm working on, I would do that here, or I could delete the gradebook altogether. So it has my student roster here and then any assignments along the right hand side. So now that I have my gradebook set up, I can go ahead and create my rubric. So in order to do that, I'm going to come to my profile and then go down to where it says My Rubrics. What this is doing is going to create a rubric that I could use in any of my courses. So if I create this rubric in one course, if I had 4 other courses that I wanted to use this same rubric, I would be able to do that. So I'm going to do Add a Rubric. And I can determine, do I want it to be points-based or do I want it to be qualitative, which means there's not going to be any point value assigned. It's great for feedback, for evaluation, communication with your student. For this case, I'm going to do points-based, and I'm going to hit Continue. And I got to give it a title, so I'm going to call this Discussion Posts. And then I can determine here what grade level it's going to be. I'm just going to pick 7th grade, and then I'm going to choose Language Arts for my subject. And then I could give it a description if I wanted to. If this was more than one grade, I can select more than one. If it's more than one content area, I could do that as well. I'm going to go ahead and hit Continue. And again, before I hit Continue, these are optional. I don't have to select any of those, but it just helps me to identify what it was I was creating this rubric for. So once I'm finished, if I scroll down here, I have some criterion here, and then I have the levels here. So in this case, this would be like a 4. Over here, I could give a 3, a 2, and then a 1. And then criterion here, I might want to put, responded to prompt. This one I might want to call grammar usage. This one I could call thoroughness. And maybe I don't want to use this last one here, so I can use a trash can to get rid of it. And now I have 3, and I can write a little description in here of what it means when they respond to the prompt. And then I click in this box and I can write what it is they need to do to earn a 4 for responded to prompt, what it is to earn a 3, what it is to earn a 2. So I can go through and create my rubric so that it's very specific for my course. Once I'm finished, I can go to Manage Rubric. I can edit my details. I could save it. I can share this rubric. So maybe this is a rubric we're going to use for my entire department or my entire grade level. So I can share it with those people. Make active means that it's going to show up and I'll be able to use it in my class. If I wanted to print out an actual hard copy of the rubric or if I wanted to delete it. I'm going to make this rubric active. And now you can see I get the message here that it is now active. So when I create my assignments, I want to make sure that I have that gradebook section marked off. And I'm going to jump over to my other course here so I can show you. Because this was for discussions, when I click on discussion, I have to type in the title, a little description, what type it's going to be. I hit next. And then this is where I make sure where it says grading that it's going to create that gradebook entry in that gradebook I just set up. And then I have the option here to select what rubric it is that it's going to be pulling from. So I'm going to use this one here. This is the one I just created. And I'm going to click Save. And now when I'm grading my students' work, I'm able to use that rubric in order to assess their work. And this is how you go about creating rubrics for your course.